What's up, guys? Brett Okamoto with the UFC featherweight champion and the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Alexander Volkanovski, who takes on Islam Makhachev. And I guess, I hadn't even really thought about it until I just said that, but who's putting more on the line this weekend? Is he putting his title on the line, or are you putting your pound-for-pound title on the line?
Yeah, I guess it just depends how you look at it, you know what I mean? Again, for me, obviously that's cool, you want all these things and all that type of stuff, but, that's what a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, why are you doing this? And like expecting someone to protect, that pound-for-pound spot and all this type of stuff. And like we go out there and we always plan on winning. Like, I just don't get like why people wouldn't want to challenge themselves and all that type of stuff. But for him, obviously, I think his belt's on the line. So that's how I look at it. I want that belt. I'm sure he doesn't want to lose it. So, I obviously don't want to lose that pound-for-pound number spot. But I mean, just me losing is bigger than losing that pound-for-pound spot. You know what I mean? So that's, again, losing's 4 steps back for me and my family, and that means more to me than a #1 pound-for-pound spot. Yeah, it's cool. I love it, but at the same time, I just refuse to lose, period.
Well, it's interesting because you definitely can look at it two ways, that you are taking a risk by moving up in weight, challenging a guy who's a bit, obviously there are weight classes for a reason in this sport, or you can look at it as a massive opportunity. I think obviously you look at it as an opportunity. 100%. Do you see risk in it though?
I don't know. Well, risk, like every fight's a risk.
Yeah.
Is it a challenge? Yeah, 100%. But I mean, like the way people sit there and talk to me about that, and like it's just like what? Like if no one had challenges themselves. I don't, excuse my friend, sorry. Yeah. No one challenges them. It blows me away. It's like it's everyone just wants to how do you, like, that's not how you get better. Right now, for me taking this fight and this opportunity, it was an opportunity for greatness, obviously, but not just that. It's an opportunity to get better. And I always told you, drive to be better, I've always said that type of stuff. And trust me, as soon as this fight was announced, I'm moving up and I need to get stronger, I need to do this, you just start, you just get better. So right now, I'm a better fighter than I was because of this. So this is the opportunity. And a lot of people, again, like everything in life, if you want to be successful, you need to challenge yourselves. You need to put yourself in these sort of positions. But again, if there's anyone that can put themselves in a position like this, step up and do all this type of stuff. A lot of people are like, oh, as if I'm not the guy to do it. What I mean? I've got all the right stuff. What's made me a champion? When you talk about, obviously the work ethic, the ticker, the heart, like you name it, all that type of stuff. That's what you need that's what you need in these positions. Like a lot of people are the underdog and all that type of stuff. If you're getting money on me like that, you take that, because I'm the guy that can, you know what I mean?
You're
I'm the guy,
encouraging people to put some money on Alexander
Volkanovski. Well, that's the
Volkanovski,
thing, right? Like, if there's anyone that can do it, it's me. Like, what I mean? I'm that type of guy. I'm that guy with that fight IQ. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to fight for every single centimetre, you know what I mean? Like every millimetre. So to count me out is just foolish. And I can't wait to go out there and shock the world, because that's what it looks like. A lot of people, are like, man, what's he doing? Cool, it just makes my victory even bigger. I mean,
this is what sports is about. It's about achieving greatness. 100%. It's about going for the impossible stuff. And I see it, and I think that the people in this fight game see it. Do you feel like what this is, what this represents, what you were trying to achieve, that people are paying enough attention to it, or do you wish that maybe there was like a higher buzz, or do you think that there is enough buzz on this fight?
Oh, I mean, there's enough buzz. Like, obviously you heard like some people saying that. I don't believe that. We're in Australia, we're buzzing. Yeah. I know it's massive here. Yeah. I don't know what it's like in Dagestan or whatever, like, you know what I mean? But for here, we're buzzing. Like, we sold it out in seconds. People struggling to get tickets, you know what I mean? Like everyone's got accommodation and got flights and couldn't even get a ticket, you know what I mean? Like it's buzzing over here. So I know where everyone's at, and it's supposed to be trending very well. So it's a big fight, and people understand that. And again, who doesn't love an underdog story as well? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to be huge. I can't wait. Again, it's going to be a massive opportunity for me and for my legacy. So I can't wait.
I think the underdog part plays something into this, but like if and when you get this done, like, to me, it would be in the category of like one of the greatest wins in UFC history, like in the sport's history. Like not because you're just this massive underdog. I know you're an underdog, but we've seen bigger upsets than this. But just in terms of like, again, the #1 pound for pound versus #2 pound for pound, like the win here would be right up there with some of the greatest wins in the history of the sport. Is that do you see it the same way?
100%. Yeah, I do. Especially the way people are talking about it, which is good, and that's. I love that, you know what I mean? Because again, it makes it for a bigger moment, a moment that will go down in the history books. This is already in the history books. #1 versus #2, pound for pound, and the winning streak. You look at the numbers and the stats when it comes to two guys facing each other. I don't think it's there's been many fights like this, you know what I mean? Well, there hasn't, like 1 versus 2, you know what I mean? So it's huge. And then the fact that one's an underdog and, you know, I'm going to go out there and get my hand raised, you know what I mean? It's just huge. That's what we're talking about, opportunity, right? This is a massive opportunity, and this is a fight that, this is going to be the defining year of my legacy, definitely. And it starts off this weekend.
Sitting here on a Wednesday, do you allow yourself to, because you did mention it to him when you had the opportunity, when you guys talked to DC, hey, make weight healthy. Is that on your mind at all? Like do you have any nerves, any anxiety about just like, man, I really hope that like nothing happens this week?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, I just want him to make weight comfortably. You know what I mean? It's just, obviously we know he cuts a lot of weight and all that type of stuff. You know, you see him smirking in the interviews and all that. This week you won't be seeing him smirking. You're going to see him struggling. He's going to be fragile. But we just hope he makes weight. You know what I mean? Again, that's why I said it to him. You know what I mean? Like, I can see you smirking and all that type of stuff. It's like, we'll see fight week when you're struggling and you're cutting weight and all that type of stuff. And then we'll see in the octagon if you're still smirking after a few seconds. And then we'll see who's smirking after the fight's done.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it right there. And I've noticed this in other interviews. You did not appreciate the smirks in that interview, did you?
Just like it's a cockiness, I thought.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Again, you could see I was confident, but there was definitely respect there and all that type of stuff. I know he does, but whether it's just him, like, you know, because he's a pretty respectful dude, but I felt like there was a cockiness. Yeah. And I love smacking smirks on people's faces, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
I will say, I mean, and I think people who watch my interviews, you know, I think you know this about me. I'm not trying to stir up any drama. I'm not trying to point to anything that's not there. There was a certain smugness about him, I thought, and there's some things I know he respects.
Is good. Like, I don't mind that, right? But I mean, it makes me like, okay, sweet. We'll see who's smirking at the end.
It was kind of like, you know, I could see a situation in which, like, maybe years ago, if you're in a bar and someone was looking at you that way, what would happen if you saw that look from just a random person?
I was always chill, so I would have been all right.
You're always chill guy?
But again, like, you see that, and like, you see again, I feel like there's a cockiness. There's a short and all this stuff. I'm like, it's going to be pretty embarrassing for you, mate, if you're going to start talking like that. You know what I mean? So, again, like, let him do that. Again, that just makes my win even bigger. And then your loss, very embarrassing. You know what I mean? So you want to act like that. Again, he's probably not meaning to disrespect, but that's a little bit how I'm sort of taking that smirk and that cheekiness. You know, and again, you know, maybe that's just me trying to fire myself up. You know what I mean? Because I like to do that. You know, because I never used to do that. You used to do that, but in the last few fights, I'm like, you know, trying to find things that really fire me up, and that's fired me up. So. Can't wait to smack the smirk off his face.
So that actually does, it actually does something that it just maybe makes the training easier, or gives you a little bit more motivation, gives you an edge, or is it just something to kind of talk about before the fight, but it doesn't really have an impact on anything?
No, like it gives me, like, again, I always was the type of guy to stay composed and calm and all this type of stuff. I always felt good there and all that type of stuff. But then I'm in such a good position now with where I'm at, my fight IQ and my composure and all that, that when I do have that extra fire, I'm on. Yeah. You know what I mean? I can control that so well. It just adds to my performance. You've seen that in my last one. I was like, I need to fire myself up. So I was like doing there, and I was like pumping. You backstage, like, there was a lot that happened. There's things that you didn't even see. Yeah. Like, obviously you would have seen one before we did the walkout, but there was stuff that me and Max were doing even while we're doing interviews, and like we're getting into each other, and I was using that, you know. So I was just like, oh, we'll see. And then while I was in there, I was like, I have to talk, I have to go, because I needed that fire, because I fight better like that. Especially having this Aussie crowd, you know what I mean? Usually I'll try and keep myself calm. Oh, don't let it get to me. Nah, give me that energy.
That's interesting.
Fire me up. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm the type of guy that I can put me in any position. I'm gonna make it work. You know, even though they'll boo me last time, that fired me up. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna show you. You know what I mean? I know everyone back home is watching me. I know everyone in Australia is watching me. So I started saying that to the camera as I was walking out, and not just that. Like, firing myself up, being like, oh no, I'll show you. So you want to boo me now? Yeah. You'll jump on board, don't worry. And that's what we did. And now it's going to be the other way around. But again, I can just use that and make it work for me.
That's super interesting, man. That, like, most people, like, the theory would be don't fight emotional. Yep. But if you can and allow yourself to feel it and then use it.
I've always thought that. Yeah. And I've always been that. And I've always been so good at, like, bringing that down. And then, you know, my when I was at Fight Island, no crowd and all that type of stuff, I tried doing the same thing. And I was just, I was just walking, you know, just chilling. I was like, man, I got to, you know, and that's why after that, the Ortega fight, I was like, you know, firing, you know what I mean? And gave me a whole heap of energy. And then I felt like I chilled a little bit with the zombie one, but it obviously still went really well. But then in the Max one, that fight, and then I've just come to realize that I'm better a little bit emotional. You know what I mean? Because I'm so good at controlling it. I'm so composed anyway. I still see everything. So it just gives me that sharpness. My eye, everything's just on when I get that. Is emotional the right word? I'll just say fired up.
Yeah. When do you think you'll see some of that? I mean, you've been saying that he's going to panic shoot on you. When do you think you'll start? What I want to ask is, what do you think is going to be the bigger deal? Stopping his takedown attempt, or getting back up when he takes you down? Which one do you think is going to bother him more?
All of them. It's like I sort of want to be in their positions. So like it's like obviously just stopping them, just stop it and then just tail him up on the outside. But I mean, it'll be good if I think it'll be good for the story, because I've been saying that. And I'll be like, again, I'm the type of guy, I'll prepare for the worst. That's it. A lot of people are saying I'm expected to take down, because I have to have that in my head to prepare properly. Don't be surprised if I'm able to, my footwork's enough and my frames and all that type of stuff, takedown defense is good enough to not get there. Don't be surprised. But I need to mentally prepare to be there. So I think it'll be good to be put in positions, bounce back up and just be like, who's smirking now? You know what I mean? Or get me in a submission and be like, hey, is that all you got? You know what I mean? Like I feel like that would add to the story and all that. But obviously I'm going to fight my fight and not let it get there. But if it does, I'll be more than okay with it, just because I'm very confident I'll get back up. And again, I want to see that face as soon as that happens.
Because you've turned into this guy who just is so present in the moment, so confident, and you like the grandeur, you like the challenges. Any part of you a little bit disappointed that Khabib's not going to be there just because of the scenes? I know you don't care from a competitive standpoint, but like you beat Khabib's guy in front of Khabib. Like, would that have added anything to it?
I mean, like only because people are people bringing that up. I'm like, don't use that as an excuse when I get my hand raised. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of guy I am. Like, use saying all this. Just remember that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he obviously is going to turn up. I don't think he needs a Khabib. He's fought without Khabib. Obviously, having him here would have been incredible, having Khabib here in Australia, and I guess it could have added to the story a little bit, but at the, Islam's proven that, he's a great fighter, and like, he doesn't need, it's going to be him in there. Let's be real, you know what I mean? So it ain't going to affect him one bit. So don't use that as an excuse this Sunday.
You talked about that too, this narrative, don't change the narrative after
exactly
the fight.
Right.
What do you think of the narrative? Is the narrative right, or do you think like people are getting the narrative wrong going into this fight?
Well, I am smaller. Yeah. I'm smaller. I'm a featherweight division and all that type of stuff. Like, I am the one, you said earlier, taking risks. Like, I am doing that. I am going in a division that, I'm not usually in and things like that. He's going to be bigger and all that type of stuff. But that's fine. I'm the type of guy that can deal with that. So just, again, remember that. Like, when I say don't change, I mean, like, I don't want people sitting there being like, oh yeah, Islam hasn't really fought this guy. I was like, mate, that's not what you were saying before. Don't take that win away from me now. That win should add a lot to my legacy, because I am putting a lot on the line here. I am moving up against a big, strong grappler, supposed to be a puzzle that no one can figure out. They're going to say that till I figure it out. So, but again, just don't change that narrative. Again, you want to have me as that underdog. That's just going to make my victory even bigger. And again, obviously I need to have this confidence, but I'm preparing for a tough fight, because it is. I am obviously stepping up. But I'm the guy for the job.
I think the last thing I have for you, because obviously anytime you have a champion of one division taking on champion of another division, size is a huge part of the conversation, right? I guess what I want to ask is, could you see a scenario in which you leave this fight and you say, I'm certain that I was better than him, but the size was too much. Like, I just, like, size matters and I ran it into too much. Or are you just perfectly certain that skills will determine this fight and not size?
I do, just purely because of the fighter I am. I don't know, am I like the only fighter that trains with bigger guys or something? Like, what I mean? Everyone's like, well, he's living up for lightweight. I go, I train with lightweights, welterweights, middleweights. Like, I don't know, am I the only guy that does that? Like, I'm sure I'm not. So I don't know why people are carrying on that much. Like, again, I'm used to the big guys. Like, when it comes to strength, that's never the problem. I'm respecting more his style and his technique and his control. Like, there's little things. It's not just strength. Like, people sit there and keep talking about strength and all that. Like, you've seen in like the Arman fight and all that type of stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Arman's stronger, if not like looked just as strong, if not stronger. But I mean, his technique just outdid him and things like that. You're seeing guys get back up and all that type of stuff. He is going to be strong, but it's not going to be unhumanly strength. Trust me, I'm strong. Strength's not going to be the issue. It's going to be the technique. But we understand technique. We understand details of everything. So that's what I'm looking forward to surprising people with. You know what I mean? Because again, a lot of people are going to bring it down to the strength and size, but I look a lot deeper than that. I think it's a lot more than that. But hey, you can use that as a narrative. Sweet, just make my victory bigger. So I'm all good with it.
Yeah. Well, you know how much of a fan I am of this sport, obviously, and like this does not happen. Number one versus number two, pound for pound, man. I cannot wait. In your home country, Australian crowd, this is going to be one of the best nights of the year, dude. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Pleasure
Appreciate
speaking to you this week.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.